welcome to the Grok Shop and part 4 in my compost tea series. In this video I'll be doing a basic brew, which is compost only with no additional additives, and we'll be thinking of this as a kind of reference brew for the other brews we'll be doing. And in addition to the actual brewing, I'll be showing qualitative analysis or assay that I do through a compound microscope. So quick reminder, the objective of the compost tea brewing process is to extract and multiply microorganisms that come from the compost itself. This little nematode, which survived the brewing process, is not a good example of that. They do not multiply in compost tea like bacteria and archaea, but it's just kind of fun to look at. So here I have some compost left over from doing some potting about a week prior. This was extracted from the compost heap. And you can see it's got a little bit of fungi growing on top, which is great. It's not really necessarily something that's part of this video, trying to produce fungi, but if it's in there, that's fine. And it's pretty normal to have fungal hyphae, mycelium as part of your compost anyway. So how much compost to use? I usually use about 4 cups. I've seen anything from 2 to 6 cups per 5-gallon bucket of dechlorinated water recommended. So I typically stick around the 4-cup area. This is a measuring cup, but it's also just a convenient cup to use. I don't stick to exactly 4 cups necessarily, but just ballpark range. So now if you've been following along, you will have seen part 3 in my series where I discuss water dechlorination and of course how important that is for these microorganisms to have a safe environment to flourish in. And one of the techniques I showed was you can use humic acid, and I've actually done that here. I've dechlorinated outside a bit, and there was still some chlorine, so I added a bit of humic acid. So you'll see my water looks a little brown. Now, you know, some people say humic acid can have a detrimental or negative effect on the microorganisms. I'm not so sure, especially in really small quantities. But anyway, we'll see in the analysis that I do how everything works out. So right off the bat, we can see some fungal hyphae here, which is really covered in bacteria. Looks like they're chowing down on that hyphae pretty good. And those flickering dots there are going to be flagellates. Looks like we got several of those in this view. Folks, I do apologize for the fuzzy view we have here. It's due to the poor quality camera I have at this point for microscopy. Hopefully in the future we'll have a little better hookup for y'all, get some better views. But it's good enough to get a general idea of the biodiversity we have going on here anyway. All right, this looks like we have possibly another flagellate, a larger one. Maybe this could be an Naegleria grubberi, which is an amoeba that transforms into a flagella. And it would be in the flagella state here. And they do that when they run out of food, which is bacteria for them. But he's being pursued, looks like, by another one or two smaller flagellates. So clearly this compost tea does have life. It does seem to be fairly sparse compared to some of the other assays I've done on other brews. But I guess that's not super surprising since we didn't provide any food for the bacteria to expand and multiply. Kind of a nice shimmering flagellate there. Recognize this nematode? It's the same one from earlier in the video that we saw in dark field view. I've just got him under the bright field view now. So again, this was really more of a reference brew, and it really wasn't expected to produce huge amounts of biodiversity, but there was some activity and I was pleased with that. And as you may have ascertained, this is not a quantitative analysis, it's just strictly qualitative, but we'll be doing more of these qualitative analysis assays for future brews. That's how it's done. Thanks for watching.